everybody. How are you doing? Welcome into HCAM Sports Talk. I'm Tom Nappy, and we have a loaded edition of HCAM Sports Talk today. Coming up, we'll be joined by Jared Keene of the Metro West Daily News and TVLSports.net and HCAM contributor Steve Watson to talk about the absolutely insane NFL Conference Championship games that just took place and a whole lot more. But first, we want to show you the Hopkinton Hillers top play of the week. Nate Casper had an absolutely incredible pass. Here is the Hopkinton Hillers play of the week.
Good. And just kept in, but Casper collects. Out to Pantera. What a pass, and what a feed of the bucket, Sam Pantera.
Highlight film right there.
That was some Harlem Globetrotters stuff right there.
And there it is, the Hopkinton Hillers play of the week. And now, here is the latest in Hopkinton Hillers winter sports. It has been a very busy week, and there's many more busy weeks to come due to the COVID delays and some weather delays, a whole lot more games coming up. You can check out the broadcast schedule for upcoming Hillers games at our website, hcam.tv. But here are the latest Hopkinton Hillers highlights. On Wednesday, January 19th, Hiller boys hockey took on Bellingham and netted a goal early in the first period.
And led by head coach Brad Quatcher along the far side. Ian Tosca. And now a shot, and it's in! Joe Scardino makes it 1-0. A beauty of a pass from Ian Tosca, and Scardino nets the first goal of the game.
Joe Scardino nets a goal after a great feed from Wyatt Ian Tosca to make it a 1-0 game a little less than 4 minutes in. It remained a 1-0 game late into the third period, and Bellingham responded.
And there's another shot, and that is going to be sent wide. And a secondary shot, and Bellingham has just tied the game. Jamison Eldridge. Wow.
The game remained tied 1-1 and went into overtime, but that did not last long.
In the overtime period. Win. Taking it up the far side, leaves it behind. Scardino sends it towards the net, turned away. Title coming in from the corner, wraps around, takes a shot, and that's it! Wow, Ryan Title with the game winner! 22 seconds into overtime.
Ryan Title scores 22 seconds into overtime and clinches the win for the Hillers as Hopkinton takes it 2-1. The Hillers improve to 3-5 with the victory. On Friday, January 21st, Hiller girls basketball hosted Norton. It was a back and forth first quarter in which Norton outscored Hopkinton 12-9.
Better luck from outside than they have been from inside.
And a nice feed by Fieri to Cotrain, and she will pop it off the glass and in.
In the second quarter, the Hillers responded.
And a nice steal by Fossbender. Fossbender, coast to coast, off the glass and in.
Hillers led 21-20 at the half and picked up the offense in the third quarter.
Fossbender collects.
She had two open girls under the hoop. Could have given it up for them, but
Davies with the finish.
the Hillers will take advantage of that.
Hillers outscored Norton 20-14 in the third quarter and would end up taking the game 60-53. Kiki Fossbender had a team-leading 19 points. Brooke Doherty added 13 points for the Hillers in the win. Hopkinton improves to 3-3 on the season. Hiller boys basketball also grabbed a win over Norton, 54-47. Nate Casper had 15 points. Seven Marazimi added 12 points for the Hillers' road win. On Saturday, January 22nd,
Hiller Wrestling went 3-1 in a quad meet at Milford. The Hillers got pins from Jari Zaidi, Devin Canty, and Justin Sokol. Also on Saturday, January 22nd, Hillers Swimming took on Medfield. Here's a look.
All right, and diving in the water is Olivia Scalera in lane 2 and Deirdre Belger in lane 4. So
You got to leave it all out there.
Come on, Olivia. Can you catch her? Deirdre, too.
Nice turn, Olivia Scalora.
Yeah. Deirdre is not usually a sprinter for freestyle.
Yeah, she looks good.
She does look
She
good.
found her niche, I
Come
think.
on, Olivia. Come on,
she-
Olivia.
Get that girl. Get her.
Come on, Olivia.
Close.
Almost.
Boys swimming took the 90-61 win. Tyler Fallon qualified for sectionals in the 50 free and the 400 free relay of Kevin Gu, Davis Paizoff, Sean Haley, and Fallon had a team best time by 6 seconds. Girls swimming fell short to Medfield, 95-82. Sophia Luce won the 100 fly with a season best time. Olivia Scalora, Natalie Buford, Katie Balster, and Sophia Luce had a season best time in the 200 free relay. Hiller boys hockey won their 4th game in a row on the road in Norton. Joe Scardino scored a pair. Callum Greenwood, Joe Carazza, and Charlie Purpura also netted goals as the Hillers improved to 4-5 on the season. On Sunday, January 23rd, Hiller boys basketball earned a road win over Holliston, 57-40. The Hillers had 11 different scorers in the game. Girls basketball also hosted Holliston on Sunday and raised money for the Mary Corby Scholarship Fund.
She was a member of the Hopkinton High School class of 1983, where she was a standout athlete, later becoming one of the first inductees into the Hopkinton High School Athletic Hall of Fame. That's a mouthful. She attended UMass Amherst, where she received a full scholarship as a walk-on point guard for the basketball team.
For her, basketball was more than just the game. It was about teamwork, developing leaders, and so many other life lessons that extend beyond the court. She gave her life to coaching and teaching young athletes and created an amazing atmosphere that has been carried on today.
We created a Mary Corby Memorial Scholarship to graduating Hopkinton High School students involved in athletics and who exhibit great character and leadership as our mom did. The scholarships are awarded to individuals who are active and supportive members of the community and who are good people and even better teammates.
Wally Hannaberry and Mike Terosian had the call.
They got it.
Wow, take your
Nice
time.
trapping defense right there. A layup for 2. Trendle for 2. Right there. It's nice to see her finally get one in right from underneath. Well, they have a hard time inbounding it. Turned over by Hopkinton right there. There's another bucket for Trindle right there underneath. And we've got a timeout. Holliston. Go back to Fossbender. Puts up a 3. And it's good. Hopkinton, now Lauren Cho has it. And she kicks it way up to Kiki Fossbender, who lays it in.
Hiller girls basketball picks up the 51-35 win. Kiki Fossbender nets 15 points. Lexi Trendle added 14 points, and Brooke Doherty had 12 points in the win for the Hillers. It was the 3rd straight win in a row. Also on Sunday, January 23rd, Hillers track and field set a record in the 50-meter. Andrew and Will Bilobreski, Sean Gombuski, and Declan Mick all qualified for nationals. On Tuesday, January 25th, Hiller girls basketball picked up their 4th straight win, taking down Millis 61-44. Kiki Fossbender netted 14 points, Brooke Doherty had 12 points, and Alexi Trendle added 10 points as the Hillers improved to 5-3 on the season. Also on Tuesday, Hiller boys basketball hosted Millis. Hopkinton got things going in a quick-paced, physical first quarter, outscoring Millis 15-10.
Andrew Hatch was just able to break through as the ball was knocked away. Engel Chat responds with a 3.
In the second quarter, the Hillers offense continued to roll.
Takes it down the lane, now to Diesenroth, along the baseline, up no good, tipped in the air by Casper, and Millis pulls it down, collected by Hatch. Here comes Catalano, and he lost it, stolen away by Casper, wide open break to the hoop, off the window and in.
It's a backbreaker.
Hopkinton outscored Millis 19-14 in the half and led 34-24 heading into the halftime break. In the third quarter, the Hillers offense struggled.
Fiala knocks it down.
4-point lead.
He gets it in.
5 seconds.
Looking for the buzzer beater. Over to the corner, up for three. Got it! Jack Halloran knocks it down, and we will head into the fourth quarter.
Millis outscores Hopkinton 13-6, and it was just a 3-point Hiller lead heading into the fourth quarter. Millis started the fourth quarter on a nice run.
Coates kicks it across now. Hart for three. Got it! Wow! We're tied up.
The Hopkinton offense picked it up in the second half of the fourth quarter.
Diesenroth. Over to Casper. Driving down around the defender. Count it! It's left on the shot clock. Casper squeezes between the defenders. Pantera off the window and in. Count it!
Hillers outscored Millis 15-11 in the fourth quarter and overcome offensive struggles to capture their fifth win in a row, 55-48, and improve to 7-3 on the season. Sam Pantera had a team-leading 15 points, Nate Casper contributed 13 points, and Evan Marazimi struck for 12 points and went a perfect 8 for 8 from the free-throw line. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to HCAM Sports Talk. I'm your host, Tom Nappy. And joining me on the show today, we have Jared Keene from the Metro West Daily News, and also TVLSports.net and HCAM contributor Steve Watson. Guys, how are you?
Doing good, Tom. Doing good, man. Just a really good weekend of football.
Absolutely. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better than a couple of weeks ago, these two games yesterday or on Sunday, pretty amazing games and some amazing comebacks and some amazing chokes as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to talk all about them. And of course, we have to talk about, is Tom Brady retiring or not? No one seems to actually know. So we'll talk about that as well. And also Josh McDaniels officially heading to the Raiders. So we'll discuss that as well. But first, let's get to the games that took place this past Sunday. You had two very good football games. The Cincinnati Bengals getting a big win, big comeback win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And you had the Rams coming back and beating the 49ers. We'll start off with the Bengals and the Chiefs. Quick little recap. Kansas City at the half led 21-10. And then in the third quarter, Cincinnati, they just went berserk, outscoring Kansas City 11-0 to tie the game up. And then both teams added a field goal in the fourth quarter, which led to overtime. And Cincinnati's defense got a big stop on Kansas City. After Kansas City won the coin flip, Cincinnati gets the ball back, ends up making the game-winning field goal. It was a tremendous game, a lot of momentum shifts, especially when you think about the first half. It looked like Kansas City was going to just run away with it totally. But Cincinnati, they struck back. And to me, the turning point of that game was right at the end of the second quarter when the Chiefs had a grand opportunity at either a touchdown or a field goal. And they took a couple shots at the end zone and decided to take a third shot instead of kicking the field goal, which obviously if they kick the field goal, they probably win that game because that would have been too big of a deficit for Cincinnati to overcome. But Mahomes throws a screen. It doesn't go well. They come up with no points out of that drive, and it remains a 21-10 game. And after that, it was all Cincinnati pretty much. That was a big mistake on Mahomes' part, and also it seems like he didn't realize that they didn't have any timeouts left. But that was a turning point of the game to me, guys.
Go for it, Steve.
Yeah, it was. They're up 21-3 since he gets a touchdown back. All right, 21-10, but then the Chiefs start to drive down the field again. And it looks like they're going to at least get a field goal. Worst case scenario, 5 seconds left. I agree with running a play there. I just don't agree with the play that they ran, and that's why they ran out of time. You can't run a play like that with 5 seconds. It can't happen. They threw away 3 points right there, and it cost them dearly. It cost them their season.
Yep, certainly did.
I think, I agree. I think the play call was bogus. I mean, Mahomes is basically relying on Tyreek Hill to make a play there. I mean, he knows he's not throwing it to the end zone. He's banking on Tyreek Hill is going to get into the end zone somehow, which most of the time he does, but not all the time. Credit to San Fran's D.
Cincinnati's D.
Cincinnati's D. I think one of the biggest points in the game as well was Cincinnati getting a touchdown before KC was able to make it like 28-3. When it was 21-3, to get a touchdown to make it 21-10 instead of KC potentially making it 28-3, I thought that was big as well. That kind of gets you a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum. And obviously that third quarter was huge for Cincinnati. So, that was a huge play in the game. Huge play.
You got to give Cincinnati credit. I mean, their road has not been easy in this postseason. They had to take down the Raiders, take down the Titans, and the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl, and they were able to do so. And Joe Burrow, I mean, it's his second year in the league, but technically he's kind of a rookie since he didn't even play his rookie year after getting hurt.
Yep.
It's just amazing to me. He went 23 for 38. Overall, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. But I think the most underrated part of the Bengals is Evan McPherson, their rookie field goal kicker.
Super
unbelievable.
Great kicker. Heck of a kicker.
He's been doing this all year because they had a walk-off win in week 1. They've had several this year.
What is he, 11 for 11 in the playoffs now?
Yeah. And remember, they beat Kansas City back on January 2nd. They met in week 17. So he beat Mahomes twice in 28 days. I think
that's nuts. That's nuts.
And the Chiefs also had a 14-point lead in that game and blew it.
Yep.
So I think that's all I said about KC. Before the last 2 years, they had some meltdowns in the playoffs too. So they've had a nice run, but one day we'll sit here and say maybe they could have had more championships in this window.
Yeah, definitely. And Cincinnati, going on to your point, Steve, they became the first team in NFL history to overcome a 10-plus point deficit multiple times against the same opponent in an NFL season.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. That's That's wild.
Even the same season, the same month. That's nuts.
And you're doing it against the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it against probably maybe the greatest quarterback in the league now, or the best quarterback in the league now that Brady is retired, I guess, quote unquote. But that's nuts.
It certainly is. The Bengals heading back to the Super Bowl for their first time since 1988.
Burrow had a good game, but he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was immense. Chase had a good game, but he wasn't immense or anything. That shows that the Bengals can win in different ways, and I think that's obviously impressive. So.
Yeah, Jared, I think good teams just find ways to win.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, who was immense? T. Higgins, 6 receptions, 103 yards. He was awesome for the Bengals.
He's good.
And Joe Mixon had a good day, 21 carries, 88 yards. But it was a team effort. Jamar Chase, he was kind of shut down for a lot of the game, but ended up pitching in with 6 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown. He had one of the touchdown in the second half after being really canned up the entire first half.
That's a decent game, but that's not like a standout, 10 catch, 200 yard, 3 touchdown game or whatever, and for them to still win with him having 54 yards receiving and a touchdown, just I'd say an average decent day.
Yeah.
But that's impressive. Impressive.
You can't forget about the Cincinnati pass rush as well. The defensive line did great. The pass rush pressured Mahomes constantly. They got a couple of big sacks, especially in the overtime. A couple of huge stops on.
Yeah, in the first few drives there, it didn't start too well, but they rounded into form very quickly.
And Cincinnati lost their tight end as well, Uzama.
That injury did not look good. Apparently, he might be all right, but it didn't look good.
No, it didn't look good at all. And he's not an elite tight end, but he's a solid tight end for sure. He's definitely a contributor in their pass game. Definitely.
And I think this really adds on to the point that to get to this level, to get to the Super Bowl or to the conference championship or to win a conference championship, you got to have a good team. It's usually not going to come down to one or two superstars.
No.
And Kansas City, I don't want to say that they're not a well-built team, but their defense, I mean, it was a little shaky for much.
Their defense was 27th this year.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it, that's not great.
It's not going to get the job done.
But Cincinnati's defense, they've been great all year. And Sam Hubbard was tremendous, 2 sacks. Troy Hendrickson, a sack and a half. And Von Bell and B.J. Hill had the Cincinnati interceptions. They're just such a well-rounded team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think they're going to be
I'm
around.
pulling for them.
Absolutely. They're going to be around for quite a while.
Yep.
So moving on to the NFC.
They're going to take it to the Pats next year for sure. And again, Steve, I've been with you all along. I think the Pats have made improvements, and this is a whole another separate topic, but I think Cincinnati's going to slap us around a bit next year.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll worry about that next year. All right. We're talking way too far to the future.
All right.
We still got all of the draft, free agency. All right. Pats are in the offseason.
That's true.
Let's pay attention to the teams that are actually here. So Cincinnati's Super Bowl history, they've only been to 2 Super Bowls. They were both losses to San Francisco in 1981, 1982, and then the 88-89 season. It was a 26-21 loss to San Francisco, and then a 20-16 loss to San Francisco. And it was looking for a while like they were going to have San Francisco a third time in team history in the Super Bowl. But the Rams had something to say about that. Another great comeback win took place in the NFC Championship with the Rams. San Francisco was up 10-0 at one point. Rams scored a late touchdown in the first half, make it a 10-7 game. And then 49ers went back up by 10 in the third quarter with a touchdown of their own. It remained a 17-7 game until the fourth quarter, where the 49ers just totally collapsed. Their defense was playing absolutely remarkable in that game until that fourth quarter. And then Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. really came alive in that fourth quarter to lead the Rams to a couple of big scores. But it was another game that San Francisco's defense did a lot of the hard work, and it was looking very good. Jimmy G did not have a great day. He went 16 for 30, 232 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Matt Stafford, on the other hand, had a pretty good day, 31 for 45, 337 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But it was a defensive affair, really, until that fourth quarter where the Rams offense just totally picked it up. And Cooper Kupp, sensational once again, 11 receptions, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. And how about Beckham Jr. crushing his prop over, 9 receptions, 113 yards. The Rams, another well-built team, another team with a great defense. And I think the 49ers defense is actually a little bit better overall than the Rams defense. But the thing that the Rams have that the 49ers don't is a very consistent, reliable offense. The 49ers have some great weapons in Deebo Samuel and Ayuk, and Elijah Mitchell's really come along, and of course Kittle. But the Rams, they have a better, well-rounded team, a better, well-rounded offense.
I mean, Kyle Shanahan blew this. That guy, I mean, again, I think I praised him on the show last week, but he did not help himself out this week. That fourth quarter, he was a disaster. I think he got outcoached severely. To punt the ball on 4th and 2 late in the game like that, come on, what are you doing? Honestly, what are you doing? I mean, you got to give credit to the Rams. I give Stafford some credit. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, immense.
Do you know what really blew it, though? The play that really blew it? that should have been interception that was right in the chest of Jaquiski's heart. And he just dropped it. After that, it was all Rams.
Right in the chest. Right in the chest. You're right, Tom. You're right. Definitely. But yeah.
It's that one turning point play that we saw in both these games.
Yep.
Steve, what were your thoughts on the 49ers Rams?
I think that Kyle Shanahan is a complete fraud. He was the OC of the Falcons when they blew the 20-3 lead against the Patriots. Head coach of the Niners, they blew a 10-point lead against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl with less than 7 minutes left.
Yep.
Another 10-point lead in the fourth quarter yesterday. Blew that too. His offenses do nothing in crucial situations. You know, they can build a lead, they can't hold on to it. So you can blame their defense all you want. You got to play complementary football in situations. And his play calling was complete garbage, quite frankly.
Awful.
Fourth quarter. And it has been. So in those 3 games that I just mentioned, they've been outscored 53-0 in blowing those leads.
So bad.
That's not good coaching right there.
Good Lord.
I've said it the day he was hired. I'm not a Kyle Shanahan guy.
I'm not either.
All the believers out there, I'm just not.
I think most of San Francisco probably agrees with you now.
Yeah, and now I'm not saying Jimmy G is, an all-world quarterback either. He has some limitations, but I wouldn't pin it on him or the San Francisco defense either. They could have sealed the game. Obviously, you had the dropped pick, but save for that, I thought they did all they could to try and win that game.
I agree. Again, I agree completely. And again, I think you also have to give a little bit of credit, at least to the way the Rams defense stepped up in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And again, I mean, Kyle Shanahan's play calling awful, but the Rams defense deserves credit for the way they stepped up in the fourth quarter.
The Rams have a lot of talent on that defense, and they really cranked it up there in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, both teams, that's two of the best defenses in the NFL, maybe the two best in the NFL.
Both very physical, too.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers defense has just been amazing. And that's really what has gotten the 49ers to this point. I mean, they got guys like Ayuk and Samuel, but Jimmy G is nothing special. I'm sorry.
No,
he's subpar at best.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a starter. If San Fran moves him, you're going to have a list of suitors.
Yep.
I'd say similar to Ryan Tannehill, but I'd say we don't know Jimmy G's ceiling just yet. Ryan Tannehill, you're not going to go 3-14 with him, but you're not going to win the whole thing either. Jimmy G
has a good chance. I would bet there's a good chance he could be moved. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, he could get moved. Yeah, I think the next couple of months will be interesting.
I mean, because Trey Lance is obviously there waiting in the wings. So.
Yeah, I think he's gone. You didn't spend the third overall pick on him for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jimmy G's gone. His contract's expired.
I agree. Yeah.
He's not going to be a 49er next year.
Yep.
But yeah, to your point, I'd take Jimmy G over Tannehill just because he's younger and I feel like there's more of a ceiling there. But if you look at his numbers in the playoffs, they weren't impressive. It was kind of the same type of game all throughout.
It's just kind of blah. It was all right.
Yeah, he's a game manager is what he is. You give him a good defense, you give him a couple good weapons, it could lead you to success. But with that 49ers defense, wow. I mean, they were heavily underrated, but for good reason in the first part of the season because their record was not very good at all. But when they put it all together, that defense is just relentless. Certainly fun to watch, but they beat two very good offensive teams. They beat the Cowboys, Packers, and it's all with their defense, really. I mean, you held the Packers to 10 points, which is
and you held the 10 at Lambeau.
And you won it without a single offensive touchdown.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
That is definitely impressive.
Yeah. Although Packers special teams had a lot to do with that, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But, you get a team like the Rams who are pretty much an even matchup defensively and have a very good offense with great weapons like Cooper Kupp. And that's where you run into trouble. They're more well-rounded than you, and that's why in the end they ended up getting the victory. All right, let's take a look at the Rams Super Bowl history. In 1980, the first time they were the Los Angeles Rams, they lost to Pittsburgh 31-19. In 2000, they've moved to St. Louis. By this point, they defeated Tennessee 23-16. And then one of our favorite Super Bowls in 2002, 2017 lost to New England. And then another one of our favorite Super Bowls in 2019, a 13-3 loss to New England. So they're 1-4 in their Super Bowl history. So Two teams, not a lot of great Super Bowl history. Rams they were both in some very competitive Super Bowls, but not a lot of success. This is going to be an interesting matchup, guys, because I think you have two very well-rounded teams on both sides going at it. And I'm very torn of which way this game's going to go. It could end up like a Bucks-Rams type of shootout kind of game, or it could end up like that game we saw last night between the Rams 49ers, where you get a whole lot of defense as well. And we'll get into some props in a bit, but I'm really up in the air to how this game's going to go. But I think either way, it's going to be a great battle.
When are we going to pick this? Are we going to pick this in the week leading up to the Super Bowl? Or are we going to pick this tonight?
Yeah, we'll pick it tonight, and then if we change our minds next week, we could adjust.
Fair.
Why not? Why not? What do we got to lose? But I'm excited for this game. I really think this is going to be a great Super Bowl. What do you guys think about this matchup?
I think it's a great matchup. I don't know if it's going to draw quite the views that of something like a Pats Bucks would have drawn. But I think from a game standpoint, this is going to be a great game. Like you said, Tom, very two well-rounded teams that can put up points on offense, and both have obviously very good defenses. Obviously you always have to look at the Rams pass rush being a factor. The Bengals do allow some sacks. So, if that becomes a factor, the Rams could certainly have the edge there, but this is going to be a tough game to pick. I'm expecting a great game. And again, it's tough to say. Is this going to be a 35-31 game, or is this going to be a 14-10 game? I could see either one, and I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good game.
Steve, how about you? What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm going to go with Cincy. I think Cincy plays a little smarter, makes less mistakes. The Rams, they have gotten this far, but I don't know that they really deserve to beat Tampa after blowing that lead. And they struggled for most of the game yesterday, but managed to pull it out. So
if we're making a pick, I'm going Rams only because of the Rams D line. If they're since he allows a lot of sacks, and
they do, yeah.
And the Rams pass rush is elite.
Okay.
But again, I that's subject to change.
All right, so Rams for now. I'm going Cincinnati in this matchup. But Steve, what I was asking you is, what do you think? What type of game do you think we're going to get here? More offense, more defense, or are you just kind of torn right now on what to expect?
I think both teams in the 20 in regulation. I want to go Bengals 30-24 in overtime.
All right.
Nice.
Well, since we're getting into some trends, how about some analysis about trends between these two teams? All right. So if we're talking over under for the Rams, the under is 4-1 in Rams' last 5 games after accumulating 90 yards or less rushing in the previous game, which it was less than 90 yards against the 49ers. The under is 6-2 in the Rams' last 8 games on turf. The under is 27-10-1 in the Rams' last 38 games as a favorite. And the under is 5-2 in Rams' last 7 games after accumulating more than 250 passing yards in the previous game. The over is 5-2 in the Rams' last 7 games with 350 total yards in the previous game, which they did have more than 350 yards against the 49ers. As for the Bengals, the under is 4-0 in Bengals' last 4 games. The over is 5-0 in Bengals' last 5 games after allowing 350 plus total yards, which they did to Kansas City. The under is 4-0 in the Bengals' last 4 games following an against the spread win, which they got yesterday or on Sunday. The under is 5-0 in Bengals' last 5 playoff games as an underdog, and the under is 7-0 in Bengals' last 7 playoff games, which was a shocking stat to see. So let's get into it. Over under, it's 48.5 for this game, and I'll tell you what, I'm very torn on what I'm going to go with, but
just seeing that one stat that the under is 7-0 in the Bengals' last 7 playoff games, I think there's going to be a mix of offense and defense in this game. I'm going to go slightly under here, under the 48.5. But this could definitely go either way. Steve, what do you think over under wise? 48.5.
I'll go with the over. I think it's going to be very close, though.
All right, Jared.
It's funny. My initial score prediction thought was like a 27-21, which would be again slightly under. But I'm gonna go with Steve here, and actually I'm gonna go slightly over, in case it's like a 27-24 or something, or I don't know. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when
30-21 or something. Yeah.
When Vegas has it at 48.5,
that's really tough. That's so tough.
They're thinking it's going to be a 27-21 game. They want it right at 48 because they know it's going to slide one way or the other, but that's always what they're going for. Little trick of the trade. It's one of the few tricks I know, probably the only one. All right. Rams pass completions over under 24.5, and we will have more props next week because there's so many great props for the Super Bowl, but we'll start off with some today. So Rams pass completions over under 24.5. And in the last game, they were 31 for 45. So there is something else to think about. So I'm going to go over here. I think there'll definitely be a lot of pass completions. The Rams are more of a pass team lately than a running team, so I'll go over. Steve, how about you? All right.
We're all going over.
I think we're all over. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Rams passing touchdowns over under 1.5. I'm going over here.
Over.
I was shocked about that too.
Seems 1.5. That seems kind of low now.
Yeah, that seems a little low.
Yeah, we should probably get to the casino now.
Let's go right now.
Yeah, right. The Rams passing yards over under 279.5. Last week was
over
37. Over. All right.
I'll say over.
Yep, I'm going over as well on that. All right, Cincinnati passing touchdowns over under 1.5. I went over on this as well.
Over.
Yeah, over. Sure.
Cincinnati is also more of a passing team than a running team.
Since he can run the ball a little bit though with Mixon. Mixon can get the ball down there in the goal line. So
well, how about Perenni? He had a good day too.
P. Ryan, yeah.
P. Ryan. I always mispronounce his name.
Perenni, P. Ryan. It's the same thing, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. He had a touchdown, a big one yesterday.
He did. That touchdown again was huge.
Certainly was. All right. Cincinnati passing yards over under 276.5. This one I'm a little torn on because
I want to push this. That's like right around what I think Burrow could have.
Oh yeah. I think right around that. They had 250 yards yesterday. I'm actually going to go under on this because they can run the ball a little more than the Rams, and I think they will.
Under.
So I'm going under. All right, Steve?
I'll go with the under.
All right, we're all under across the board. Cincinnati pass completions over under 24.5. There was 23 yesterday, so this is right on the fringe here. I'm going to go under.
Oh, man.
Steve, you know what you're going to do?
I'll go under.
I want to say
this is
barely
close.
under.
This is really close.
Watch it be 25. It's probably
well, of course, knowing our luck.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Total interceptions in the game between the Rams and the Bengals. Over under 1.5. I'm going over. I think each team has an interception.
Yeah, over.
I'll go with the under. 1 for Stafford, none for Burrow.
All right.
Spicy.
I hope you're right. I like it. All right. There it is. Some of the props. We'll have more next week. We have a whole nother week to get you some information about the upcoming Super Bowl. Oh, one thing we forgot to do, the spread. It's 4.5. So I want Cincinnati to win. So I'm obviously going Cincinnati spread. They're underdogs by 4.5. Steve, you're obviously going Cincinnati spread. Jared, how about you? You went with the Rams as your pick. Do you think they're going to hit the 4.5 spread?
Here's the question, though. Do we have to pick the spread now? Because the spread could change a lot before the game.
Well, we're gonna pick.
Are we picking at 4.5? We're gonna wait to see about more of an accurate number closer to game time.
We're gonna pick it at 4.5 this week, and then next week we'll maybe pick it again at whatever the spread is if it's changed.
Yeah, I'll go. Oh gosh, 4.5.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's real tough. Yeah, I like the Rams to win, but give me Bengals plus 4.5.
I think that's a smart bet right there. And most of the money's actually coming in on that. So I expect that spread to probably move down.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 3.5 next week. It'll be interesting to compare what the props and the spread is next week compared to this week. But hey, seeing that people could bet on it now, why not give them our advice? Not that they should listen to it. Terrible idea. All right. So there it is. Our Super Bowl conversation. There are a couple other stories that we need to get to. So we had this big blizzard recently. It dropped about 4 feet of snow across New England, and it was a big news story. And then all of a sudden, breaking news, Tom Brady's retiring. He announces his retirement, reported by ESPN's Adam Schefter. All over the place. And all the local TV stations are breaking through with it, interviewing former Patriots players that Brady played with. Big story. Looks like he's retiring. And then probably about an hour later, it was released by Tom Brady's agent that he has not made an official decision. And he's not happy that the media is announcing that he's retiring because he hasn't even announced he's retiring yet. And he's not sure. So all kinds of craziness. And the big rumor is, was this a joke by Brady on ESPN after the Deflategate story? And I believe it was ESPN that broke that. And I think Adam Schefter was heavily involved. It really wouldn't surprise me, and this would be great payback if it was. I really hope it was. I hope Brady comes back for one more season just to make ESPN look like fools after how they tortured him with this Deflategate thing. It was pretty crazy day or crazy weekend with this whole thing floating around. What do you guys think? Do you think Brady's going to end up retiring? Do you think he comes back another year? Or do you think maybe watching all the media report him retiring makes him want to come back another year? What are your thoughts on this, guys? Jared, we'll start with you.
Where do I start? I was a little shook, honestly. I didn't really expect it. I mean, I kind of expected it given his press conference after the loss, but I also didn't really expect it to happen right then. I was kind of shook when I saw the news. I was like, what? Really? I was a little thrown off. If we're trying to figure out whether he's actually going to retire or not, I have no friggin' idea. And I doubt if anybody really does. I think the only person that really does know is probably him and maybe a few people that are closest to him. Again, it wouldn't shock me if he retired now, but it wouldn't shock me if he came back. Certainly if he comes back, Schefter looks like a fool. And again, what I'm a little more most peeved about is what you mentioned, Tom, that I get that Schefter, if this is actually true, I get that Schefter has to report the news as ESPN's head NFL insider. But in a situation like this, again, I think you have to let the guy announce it himself.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, a legend, maybe again the greatest to ever play the game at the quarterback position. I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you so much there. How dare ESPN tries to announce it before the man himself, the greatest football player of all time, maybe the greatest athlete of all time. That could be.
But again, as a media member myself, and again, I'm not hardcore media by any means. I'm a reporter or whatever, but just a high school reporter. But I get that Schefter has to report the news. Again, if this is actually true, you got to report it. I mean, you're ESPN's head NFL insider. You can't just sit on that.
But where did he hear it is what I want to know. Brady's agent said no. Brady's dad said no. Brady said no. He hasn't made his decision. Where did he hear it?
Somebody's lying here. I mean, again, it's whether it's the Bucks are lying or whether it's Schefter is lying or what. So
But Brady
again,
has since straight out said that he hasn't made a decision yet. That's something that Brady has announced, and his agent has announced, and his father has announced. And those are probably the people that you should hear this from if you're going to report it. Either Tom Brady, his agent, his father, or his wife. And that's probably about it. Steve, what are your thoughts on this mess?
Let it rip, Steve.
So I think that Brady will retire. I think the timing of the announcement is probably what they're a little peeved at. Brady's due a $15 million roster bonus on Friday, but if he retires before then, he doesn't get it. So obviously, he would want to announce it after that. So I think Brady will retire. I think Gronk's going to re-retire for good. I think Bruce Arians is going to re-retire for good. I think that Byron Leftwich will be guaranteed the head coaching job in Tampa, because it looks like he was a sure thing to be the Jaguars' next head coach. Now all of a sudden it's off. It makes you wonder if something happened, and maybe he's guaranteed the spot in Tampa. So that's my theory. Will it be true? I have no idea. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to retire or not. I have no idea. I don't even know if he's really reached his decision yet. He's probably still sitting on it. I would actually be very surprised if it was announced that early that he was, because Brady seems like the type of guy to me that this is something you'd really have to think about and take a few weeks to do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think we'd hear about it until this actual NFL season was over. Or maybe he'd announced it during the Super Bowl. But I didn't think we were going to hear about it for quite a while. I was pretty shocked that it came out so fast. And now, obviously, we don't know what the case is. But I think that there's definitely a possibility he retires. And it's kind of a shame because, he could still play with the best of them.
Absolutely can, yeah.
But I guess, if he does retire, he's truly going out on top. There's no doubt about that. But it would be now I want him to come back for another year, though, after the media just broke the story out early. It's like, you know what? No, now you have to come back another year and retire on your own terms, not the media's terms. But whatever the case may be, the Buccaneers, they're going to go from being one of the best in the NFL to probably one of the worst relatively quickly. So I feel for their fans, but I guess we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. If I had to pick, I'm guessing that he is going to retire, and Schefter heard it from somewhere that, maybe he was filming. Another rumor is he was filming his documentary, and he announces in his documentary that he's retiring. So maybe somebody heard it out of that, told Schefter. I don't know, but I'd love to have him back another year. I know Brady's not this kind of guy, but I really wanted him to do a goodbye tour kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I do think that he'll decide sooner rather than later, because whatever he decides will impact what the Bucs do at quarterback. It could impact their coaching plans.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think, Tom wants to be fair to them. I'd say probably maybe shortly following the Super Bowl, if not beforehand, because you want to get rolling on the offseason plans if you're the Bucs.
Yep.
Oh, definitely. I agree with that. I don't think he's going to make the Bucs wait forever to decide if he's retiring, because he respects the organization and his teammates, of course. So I think we definitely will hear about it sooner than later. But yeah, I mean, classless move by the media rushing this news.
Well, you shouldn't be shocked.
Say that again.
You shouldn't be shocked, Tom.
Right. Yeah.
Deflategate, as we all know, is the same network who pulled that stunt. And, honestly, I'd love to destroy that network as much as anyone. I'm sure Tom Brady would too. And I have nothing good to say about them.
I really wanted Brady to tweet out that Wolf of Wall Street clip. I can't mention what they said in it, but anybody who's seen the movie gets where I'm going with this.
If you've seen it, then you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been epic. That would have been absolutely epic.
That would have been so Tom Brady-esque too.
That would have been amazing. That would have been
I would love this
amazing.
to be a joke on ESPN, though. I would love if Brady planned this whole thing. It was a joke to crush ESPN. I would love that, because they have done that guy no service. They have done nothing but bash him and make him look like a cheater, which he's not, over that whole stupid Deflategate thing. It was all mostly because of ESPN. So if it's a joke, I love it. Brady, come back another year, tweet out that Wolf of Wall Street clip. We'll all be happy. All right, so some other big news in the Patriots world. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the Pats last year, has become the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and with him, he brings Dave Ziegler, the Patriots assistant GM. McDaniels has he's won some Super Bowls here. He's had a lot of success. Him and Brady worked well together for many years. There was, I didn't agree with a lot of his play calls all the time. I don't think he did particularly that great of a job this year, but it doesn't surprise me to see him get a head coach spot. But McDaniels better have a good run, because this is probably his last opportunity to become a head coach. He already did it once with the Broncos, and it didn't go so well. And I'm actually very surprised that the Raiders just did not give a promotion to their interim coach from when Gruden left after all the success that they had going to the playoffs. But what do you guys think about McDaniels leaving town and the whole situation? Steve, we'll start with you.
Well, obviously it's sad to lose Josh. He did a great job while he was here. I know he has his critics, but I think he's one of the best play callers out there. And there's no question we have less rings if we don't have him. 2014, his play calling single-handedly saved us a few times in that run. 2018, changed the whole offense in Week 16, rode that to Super Bowl victory. 2016 offense was great the whole year. Didn't even have Brady the first few weeks. He blew through 3 quarterbacks. So, whether people want to admit it or not, he's had a large role in these recent Super Bowl victories, and it's sad to see him go, but very well deserved. Same for Ziegs. Did a great job with the draft this year. You remember you and I actually met him for a brief moment following the Jets game this year. So it's sad to lose him, but very happy at the same time.
Yeah, they really shouldn't let Ziegler go. I'm more mad that Ziegler's leaving than McDaniels, because he did do a great job in that draft.
Yeah, he did. So again, it's sad to lose them both, but I think it'll be a good chance to them out in Vegas. If Vegas has talent, they definitely have talent. So if they can just get some of those off the field things straightened out, that could be a team to watch out for.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a great situation he's jumping into as well.
It is. I think McDaniels and Derek Carr, I think that's going to be a great combination.
Yep.
Yeah, Jared, what are your thoughts?
I agree with everything Steve said. I think you kind of expected McDaniels to eventually land a head coaching job, so I'm not surprised by this. But yeah, it's sad to see him go. Again, despite what you may think of some of his play calling over the years, his play calling, I think, for the most part, has been legit. And certainly, as Steve said, we probably don't have as many Super Bowls in the bag as we do if it weren't for McDaniels. So again, 2018, a great example. Yep. Great situation I think he's going into. Again, as Steve said, I do think Rich Bisaccio got jobbed a little bit here. I think he probably deserved to stay on. But again, I think this is a good fit for McDaniels. Again, as Steve said, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have all those things happen, like the Raiders did last year, all these crazy things, and you still manage to go to the playoffs and almost beat the team that became the AFC champion. Yep. I think you've earned yourself a year as the head coach. I think they're making the wrong decision here, going in another direction. I'm not saying with Josh McDaniels is the wrong decision, but going in another direction in general, I think, is the wrong decision after what happened last year and the way your interim coach stepped up. What was his name? I'm sorry, I was forgetting.
Rich Bisaccio.
Rich Bisaccio, yeah.
Yeah, but now he still may get a head coaching job. He did have a job interview with the Jaguars, so yeah, he still may be a head coach yet.
He proved he can coach a football team.
Yeah,
he proved he's a good football coach.
Situation, kind of similar to Bruce Arians in 2012. Arians took over for Chuck Pagano with the Colts. Yeah, went 9-3 as the interim. Did a great job with a flawed roster, followed that into the Cardinals job the following year. I was there for 5 years.
Yep.
Then, of course, retired for a little bit, and then has been with the Bucs
Yeah,
for the last
yeah.
3. Very, very similar situations.
Certainly is. Well, I guess we'll see what McDaniels could do with the Raiders. In McDaniels' case, I think this is the best situation he could have possibly hoped for to becoming a head coach, because to go somewhere that was totally rebuilding like the Jaguars or
that wouldn't have been good.
No.
How do you want to have Henry Ruggs? I mean, Henry Ruggs is the type of player that obviously, McDaniels pretty would have liked to have had at the Patriots for a while. And obviously sad he won't have Henry Ruggs. Bad situation there. But yeah, again, I think he'll do pretty well.
All right. Well, we are just about out of time, so
I can't win. I can't win here.
Let's go around the table with final thoughts. I'll start. Whole lot of Hopkinton Hillers sports coming up this week on HCAM. Check out our broadcast schedule available at our website, hcam.tv, and our social media pages. Some great games coming up. A lot of good rivalries. So be sure to check out some Hiller basketball, hockey this week. And we'll also, of course, have alpine skiing and whatever else we got for winter sports at home. But check out the broadcast schedule over at our website, hcam.tv. Jared, any final thoughts?
The Bruins laid an egg last night. I wasn't too thrilled about that. I think, as a lot of people know on here, I'm also a big Bruins fan, I know Steve is as well. And it was tough to see them lay an egg last night against Dallas, but got a rebound and try to get playing some good hockey again. Also on Thursday of this week, I will be at the Hopkinton versus Ashland Coaches versus Cancer wrestling match at Ashland. A lot of history there on both sides with cancer and stuff in terms of the coaches and everything. So great event to cover. I've covered it before. Should be a good one. And I think if Hopkinton wins, they're outright league champs, if I'm not mistaken. So
correct. That's awesome. That's going to be a great event. They always have close wrestling matches as well. Steve, any final thoughts?
Looking forward to the Super Bowl. Looking forward to the Bruins' upcoming schedule. Glad there will not be an Olympic break. And
yes.
Without hockey, and
yes.
We'll be playing through that. Hopefully they can get back on track. I've had some kind of mad results lately. Hopefully they can figure out the goaltending situation. Not really in love with this 3 goaltender thing. So, hopefully they can figure out who their 2 are moving forward and make a push.
Yeah, after that tough loss to Colorado the other night and a bad loss last night, you really want to get yourself on the right track fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, that's a great effort. I would last Wednesday with the Avs, but fell short. But just to get crushed like they did last night to Dallas, need to figure it out. Get back on track tomorrow against Seattle.
All right. So there it is. And we'll be talking more Bruins in the coming weeks, especially once the football season's gone. We'll have a lot more Bruins on the show and a lot more of everything else. But right now, it's a football world, and we're all just living in
Football is king, right?
That's right. We got the Super Bowl coming up. I mean, come on. Yep. But for Jared Keene from the Metro West Daily News, Steve Watson, I'm Tom Nappy. We thank you for joining us on this edition of HCAM Sports Talk. Take care, be well, and we'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everybody.